Welcome back to New Realities. This is another exciting broadcast with Michael Ney and Beyond Human. I'm really happy to be presenting Michael and his ongoing series he's doing for New Realities. And this is a show that I totally promote for visionaries and people looking to create a oneness of consciousness, the wealth stewards. And Michael, why don't you continue the introductions, and I'll sign off for now, but thanks for presenting here on New Realities. Okay.
Thank you so much, Alan, and again for your continued amazing work, doing so much in the field. And could you make sure that you've given us share screen capability?
Yes, I'm going to make you the host of the program here, so you could then do what you need to do. And all right, let me just see. Wait, okay. But go ahead, keep doing the introductions, and I'll make sure that happens. Okay.
Okay. So yeah, thanks again, Alan at New Realities, for being our streaming partner. We kind of rely on you to get the wide view that helps everything get the message out. And of course, Ron and Jordan at the observation deck, where we're going live as well. And Alan's going to send me the YouTube link for that. And also thanks to our previous partners, Neil from Portal to Ascension, as well as Sheila from Wish Alliance. And I'm very pleased to present this event. I'm feeling that Wealth Stewards is going to be an important part of Beyond Being Human as we go forward. And I am not on screen. One sec.
Here, I'll spotlight you here if you want.
No, just leave spotlighting open, and so I'm on speaker view and I'm on screen, and that's good. And hopefully, Nicolas, do you want to say hello? Just a quick hello.
Yes, thanks, Michael. Thanks, Alan. Nicolas here, all the way from Sydney, Australia. Very excited to be with you all today. What a awesome opportunity we have. Thank you.
Thanks. And I've known Nicolas for a while now, and we've even done self-development workshops together, in which one day I had the angelic experience that led to the whole Beyond Being Human kind of rolling out. And I can certainly testify to Nicolas's honesty and integrity and his great heart. And he runs a company called Lionheart, but Zen's going to do introductions as well. And so now spring has sprung. New growth. I'll start that again. New growth is happening, and our project is taking root and growing too. And just to let you know that in April, we'll be opening up membership on the Beyond Being Human website. So we're going to try things a little differently from here on in. These discussions will be available to members on our website and our Baby Steps YouTube channel. And possibly later we can all collaborate again when we have a big show like the Beyond Christmas event that Alan kindly was the streaming partner for on that. It was an 8-hour event, a little bit too much, in fact. So I'm just going to quickly share screen. And that's us today. But there's Alan and observation deck. So for the last 6 months, Beyond Being Human has covered a number of main areas of investigation leading up to our documentary called Beyond Being Human. And kind of very deliberately going through these particular topics. And so this panel is a bit of a sidestep, but equally important as our multifaceted project is entering a new cycle too. Our goal now is to raise funds for production for the documentary, and our participation in Wealth Stewards is a big step forward. And I've known Zen for quite a long time, in fact, since the very early days of Beyond Being Human, and he's a life coach and doing all sorts of different things, which you might get a chance to talk about at the end or whenever, and is also involved in some alternative financing. And you can see his profile on beyondbeinghuman.org. And I will quickly go to that. One sec. No, I won't. Yes, I will. Okay. So
it's an extended second.
Quick. You can see that. And so
who is that guy?
He's Zen Benefiel. And just to run you through quickly, in the profiles section, we have the crew of Beyond Being Human, as well as many other people who've been interviewed or in discussion panels. And it's a growing list. I'm working through putting people up here as we go. And a number of these people have become hosts, and Nadi in particular has done a number of interviews. And so anyway, the thing is, it would be great if you did become a member of Beyond Being Human once we open the portal for that. But right now, everything's open. So there's a few interviews that will be locked away for members only, but you can go on and watch those for the next week or so and learn about becoming a member. It's going to be very low cost, or become a member of Wealth Stewards and invest in the opportunity that we're going to be talking about later. And I'm going to waive all fees of Beyond Being Human if you join in with us. So now it's my great honor to pass over to Zen. And I'm really looking forward to hearing and seeing your fantastic presentation. Thank you, Io, and thank you, Nicolas. And away we go.
Namaste and in la catch. And those are my two favorite phrases for opening my own show right now, which is One World in a New World. It's on YouTube. And I really have to thank Alan for the work that he does in hosting this and doing everything that he has to help create this environment so that we have this way to communicate with each other and share what we're finding. So as Michael said, I've known him for quite some time, since the early beginnings of Beyond Being Human, and we've gone through the growth pangs together and watched the development. And I have to say, I've really been impressed with Michael's tenacity, his character, and his willingness to do the things that are necessary to help us all come together in this way and discuss these topics. One of which really isn't so tangential, as he mentioned earlier, is the idea of having some kind of financial engagement so that we can support ourselves, each other, and share what is available so that we can grow together and change the world like we need to. Now, in respect of that, we've got a couple of guests that are with us today. We have Nicolas and Ian, and they are going to be discussing the aspects of Wealth Stewards. Now, Wealth Stewards basically has been put together to help us grow spiritually, prosper financially, and create collectively through educating community and creating opportunities. So with that, I'll turn it over to Nicolas, and he can share with you the initial introduction. It'll be a short presentation. It's about 15 minutes about Well Stewards and the foundations and mission and vision that he and Ion and others have created for us. So Nicolas, take it away.
Thanks so much, Sen, and thanks, Io, for being here with me in this beautiful discussion. So just to give you a bit of context, we're going to share a 15-minute presentation, which will then be the content that we will use for the panel discussion. But just to introduce myself, and then I'll let Io introduce himself. I've been on this beautiful awakening journey since 2006, and when I had my Saturn return, in 2010, I was actually in the finance world. So I know I worked for JP Morgan. I worked in the share registries here in Australia. So I was in the beast of or the belly of the beast, as they would say. But something within me knew that this wasn't my path. And I, as my own being and soul, was beckoning and cracking through my ego structure and solidifying that in my own life, I realized that actually I'm here to be a catalyst, a soul catalyst, to assist people to really tap into their destiny path. What is it within their hearts that yearn to be expressed in this world? And so I've been on this beautiful journey. I've been supporting individuals and groups since 2012 to really actualize themselves in many different ways. And cryptocurrency came into my life in 2017. Sovereignty, freedom has been a very, very key element in my life. And in fact, in 2012, I had to make a very difficult decision because I was at that moment in my life where my finances were pretty much non-existent. And I had to make a decision. Was I going to go and get a job to substitute income for myself and not follow my path, or not be able to invest as much time and energy on my path, or just to make a wholehearted decision? And I ended up doing that. I decided in myself, I was like, I choose to allow the oneness of life, my interconnection to everything, to demonstrate that I am supported and I am willing to go through whatever initiations are necessary for that to happen. And miracles literally did unfold in my life. I have manifested many very weird and strange things, from the tax office paying me money randomly, to money through family, other bizarre situations that are completely unexplainable, that had nothing to do with what I call the transactionality of life, me doing something to then receive something back, right? Which is what that work model is. I trade my time and energy for money. So I've conscientiously broke free from that, and I have ever since 2012. And I traveled the world. I visited many sacred sites, intentional communities, to really look at the New Earth paradigm. And a very big part of this was, how can we really put all our energy into the projects, into the areas in life that we feel passionate about, but be supported in that on a much bigger level, because I'd only done it individually. And so the Well Stewards movement, courtesy of a download that Io received last year, and he'll share a bit more about that, was basically the opening of that portal. So for me, finance, resources has always been a part of my life, but I communicated to the universe, I'm not trading my time and energy to do something I don't want to do. This part has to come into my life through synchronicity in whatever way it wants to come, so that I can really be the person that I'm here to be of service, to put my energy into the projects that I'm here to do. And obviously it's not an easy path. There's lots of times where there's doubts, confusions, all sorts of very difficult challenges that come. It's not an easy path, but it is a path of absolute fulfillment. And, if I look at who I was 10 years ago, you wouldn't honestly recognize me. So that's my introduction. I'm going to pass it over to Io, and then he'll segue into the presentation. Thanks, Sen.
Oh, you're welcome. And Ion, why don't you take the floor for a little bit? I know you've got a wonderful vision to share, and how it came about, and the evidence that you have now to share that with the rest of us.
Yes, thank you, brother. And hello, everybody. Ion is a lovely name, but cut out the N and you got my name right, which is Io, A-E-O. Yes. Well,
My mistake and
Him.
apologies.
You are dearly forgiven, Zen. I'll
Thank
add
you.
an extra letter onto your name to make up for it.
Then it'll be Zeninen.
Yeah, something like that. So, for me, when I was 22 years old, which was just over 5 years ago now, I was born in New Zealand, and at 22 years old, I gave all my things away. I left with a backpack, $10,000, and I went to India in pursuit of this reality of enlightenment. I wanted to find a master, someone who could help me answer the questions, these burning questions I had about life. From a young age, I had a passion to serve, to make a big difference in this world because there was so much need for it. And I also knew that from experience that the most fulfilling thing that I could do was to do something meaningful for the lives of other people. But as my mind and consciousness started to open, I had so many questions about, well, how do I even help the world when there's so many different things that I could do? So I went on this quest to India, and during a meditation retreat there was a big opening in my consciousness, and I started to receive an influx of down to a number of these questions. And a big part of this, because in the pursuit of enlightenment, it's the pursuit of understanding the nature of God. And what came so strongly to me was, you don't need to find God, you need to express God. And I was like, wow, okay, well, what does it mean to express God? And what came to me was that inside of my heart is a compass, and those compass are felt by desires, natural impulses. And when I allow those and honor those to their fullness, I'm in pure expression of my life path. And I felt, well, if I truly honored everything in my heart, my life's going to look very differently to how it's going to look now. And I felt, well, if I was completely 100% authentic to the impulses and desires of my heart, I'm probably going to spend all the money that I'd preciously saved, which I was planning to last a long time in India, in a matter of a few months. So in this connected state, I started to ask the question, well, how is this going to work for me with money? And I started to, again, receive these very simple answers that absolutely expanded my understanding of life in a beautiful way. And a big part of that was understanding that how things happen, how the gifts of life enter our money, which a big part of money is money, because money is the enabler of most things in our world. Not all things, but it provides for our needs, it provides for our capacity to help others, it provides for us to create an environment that is enriching and nourishing for us. I felt that this is not my business to try and figure out how, or to trade my time and money for it. My job as an expression of this oneness is to be fully in service to the calling of my heart, and all the things required to continue to enable that will find me. And this was a moment of making a really important decision. And I said, well, I'm going to do an experiment with the universe. I'm going to put all of the money that I'd saved onto my card where I can spend it. And I'm not going to look at it for a while. I'm just going to live authentically to me. And that meant that I left India, I went to Europe, and I started traveling, and I changed my whole lifestyle very, very much. But in this moment, I also felt that if I can have this as a direct experience, that I can stay 100% true to myself, and everything that I need is provided amazingly, abundantly, well, that's a gift that's with me for the rest of my life. And that's a freedom that's going to be with me for the rest of my life. And if this works for me, I know that it works for everybody else, because I'm not doing anything special. I'm just choosing to follow a law, although that requires a lot of courage, because money is where we have so much conditioning. So over the last 5-6 years of my life, I have been devoted to the transformational journey, which is the journey of the expression of our soul, right? It's the union between our individual identity and our soul. I've been a part of forming many different communities I've worked and collaborated with a number of retreat centers around the world, in Netherlands, in Czech Republic. I've formed a number of online communities, created online platforms, and towards the end of last year, in collaboration with a number of others, we together co-founded Wealth Stewards with this mission to enable and remind us all of our birthright, which is to live in prosperity, which is to live in abundance, which is to be in the full expression of our hearts, and to do that on an individual and collective level. And that's really been a huge step of this journey in my own initiation. But really, we are bringing something very beautiful and very, very meaningful into the world. And I look forward to being able to share that with you all today. So maybe we can go
that
into
you
this.
Will. Thank you, Io.
You got it.
So, you know, what's so welcoming and enjoyable to me is that you, and I'm going to call you this with affection, you youngsters are coming in with these notions that, that I got almost 50 years ago in a spiritual awakening I had. I asked to know what truth was and was willing to die for it because there wasn't anybody else around to ask, right? And in the process of that, I ended up in the light and beyond with marching orders. And one thing that you said stood out as part of the message I got. You said that you knew that all elements will find you, right? One of the things that I was told way back then, the essence of it was that I was here to help facilitate a new world order of harmony among people and planet, right? So one of the things that I was told at that point was, have faith and trust that everything you need will be there at its appointed time, right? So we have this idea and this collective awareness of the flow of consciousness and how those things come to us as we step into that expression that you spoke of, right? And it's ubiquitous. It's happening around the planet now. And guys like you and Nicolas are stepping up with the tools now that are being developed on the platforms that we have in order to move us forward collectively in better ways. So I honor that in both of you. All right. And we all do. Thank you. And thank you so much. And so with that, do you guys want to head into your presentation now so that we kind of get an overview of what Wealth Stewards really is and how we can benefit by it?
Absolutely.
Cool.
And just as we transition in here, oh, wonderful. All right, everybody. Yes, so on behalf of myself and Wealth Stewards, we welcome you here into this field of prosperity. And first and foremost, what we initiated with Wealth Stewards was this field of consciousness where everybody who enters can plug into this. I won't even call it a new template, but a natural template of abundance, right? We're all born of the same source, and not because of what we do, but because of who we are. We have the worthiness and the capacity to have our needs met, to have a nourishing environment that we live in, experience ourselves, and so that that which is truly within us to be brought forth can be born into the world without pressure, stress, or feeling the burden of associating the need for money with that. And we are tapping into a huge, perhaps one of the strongest collective paradigms that exist in the world, right? Money, we don't give it, I think, as much attention as it requires, but it sits at the core of our society, and something that sits at the core is primal to us. And this new time that we are all entering is about integration, which means welcoming all aspects of our lives as a part of this consciousness that we are entering into, And the emergence, for example, of cryptocurrency and blockchain represents a higher vibrational economy, which is a manifestation of new systems and structures coming into merge with this consciousness, which we are stepping into. So we will enter into all of this. And our message, stewards, is financial sovereignty and spiritual evolution, or self-liberation for all, because this is our birthright. And we as well stewards, our mission is really to support a worldwide community. This is the teachers, the creators, the entrepreneurs, the influencers, healers, and innovators, those of us serving this new earth. And our part is to provide the education and the opportunities for individuals and communities that can enable financial sovereignty and self-liberation. And for us as an organization, our focus is to really steward wealth for Mother Earth. Yeah, as we are in the process of forming a foundation, this is really where we move from wealth stewardship to earth stewardship, which is really focused on replenishing the earth, enabling and supporting other projects and companies that are doing this work, supporting the awakening of collective consciousness, supporting real communities that are integrated with the earth so we can set up more harmonious living environments as well. So we really have a big mission to steward large amounts of wealth to enable large-scale transformation. And so before wealth stewards is providing opportunities or education, wealth stewards is a message. And it's a message that speaks to the hearts of those who are ready to remember. And this is about our forgotten birthright. And our forgotten birthright, if something is your birthright, it means that it inherently belongs to you. It's not something you need to work for. It's not something you need to become worthy of. And prosperity isn't something that's felt or experienced for most people as a birthright. It's felt as something that we need to work for. We need to trade our time and energy for. And that more often than not in our world means that individual people, instead of focusing on their gifts, instead of focusing on their inspiration, are focused on doing what they need to do to provide for themselves and their family, which means there is infinite amounts of trapped life force, trapped potential creative energy. And for me, that never felt right, that never felt true. Even as I've traveled around the world, same as Nicolas, saw many communities and leaders, how many people don't feel free with money, how many people have a level of spiritual understanding, but that doesn't translate into their actual experience. So a part of them is still trapped and they cannot integrate into this higher consciousness. And so the message is this remembrance that you're not only worthy, because worthy is just one part of it, but that the universe is more than intelligent enough to bring everything that you need and much more into your life. And this isn't just a nice concept, because nice concepts don't really mean anything. It is the universal law. And we have become so collectively indoctrinated into the ideas of money, what we must do for money, why money isn't something freely available, easily available to all of us. And it's a paradigm that is really like a trap for our consciousness that is seeking to evolve. And if we want to truly integrate in a higher consciousness, we need to take this journey into prosperity consciousness, which is first and foremost an inner journey. But you cannot take that inner journey unless you have the realization that prosperity and a new path of abundance is here and available to you and to all of us. And I speak as someone who has directly experienced this for many, many years, Nicolas as well as our other co-founders as well. So there is a vast array of experiencing this transformation of abundance in very, very, very real ways. And our wish is that this is a message that gets carried around, because when we wake up to this together, like, holy cuss, because I remember someone saying in the beginning of this, keep it clean. This is me keeping it clean. Holy crap. We have been, and we can almost laugh at ourselves, that we have been stupid to ourselves for believing so little of life, that life can actually be so much greater than we've been allowing or believing it to be. And this is why we do this as a community, and we support communities, because when we wake up to this together and we start to act upon it, which means acting in alignment, stepping away from the things that no longer feel nourishing and enriching to our soul, and we share in the experience and journey of that together, the journey is so much easier. Because when I began, Nicolas was the only person in the world that I knew who reflected to me, "Oh, this is a truth that you are following." And I have had experiences that show me that this is the path of abundance. And he was a big part of helping me step into that. But now our community, our friends have so many stories of this. And I want to play you a short video that we created. Really speaks essence. Money is our ally, our friend, and an incredibly powerful tool for expanding beyond the limitations of ourself and returning to the innate knowings of our soul. It's a portal to live and embody our original design. Each of us on the spiritual journey, sooner or later, meet up against our relationship to money. We're conflicted, either because we experience a lack of it, a fear of it, a shame of it, or a control of it. One way or another, we are called to face it, to look directly in the eyes of this and see what's really going on. What money reflects back to us is where we are still anchored in separation, limitation, lack, and scarcity. None of which are true in the eyes of the universe, the eyes of your true nature. So what money offers us is a direct portal of transmutation and embodiment of a higher consciousness. Because in truth, money is interconnected with everything else. And by your very being, you are worthy to receive and be taken care of in total abundance as you dedicate yourself to the calling of your soul. You can receive not because of what you do, but because of who you are. What I've discovered is that this isn't just a nice concept or idea, but a practical reality based on how life really works. And if you'd like to find a new truth, a new path forward, one that resonates with the vibration of your soul, then I invite you to take this journey with us into a new experience of possibility. And I hope hearing that and hearing what I'm sharing, something is starting to stir in you, because what I'm sharing is not for your mind. I'm not sharing something for you to understand. I'm sharing for you something to viscerally feel. Because if you want to step into this, it has to come deeply from within yourself. It has to come from a feeling in your heart that has been there for a long time, knowing that there is a whole different experience of possibility available to it. And not that having more money is the key, but having more freedom to make the choices that feel enriching, nourishing, and inspiring. And just feel what would be possible if these contractions around your own movements, where you are in the world, what you can do, weren't there. And this is what I want us as a global community to move into together, that we are actively feeling the freedom and being enabled to just go forward in our lives in whatever way is authentic to you, because the world is calling for our gifts, and our gifts are best born out of a feeling of enrichment and abundance. That's when we're tapped into our creativity. That's when our intuition feels more clear. And that's when we are moving and acting in this higher consciousness field together. And so that is something absolutely available to you right here and now. And we chose this name, Wealth Steward. Just go back, Nicolas. We chose this name, Wealth Steward, as a code that we can all step into. That instead of seeing or experiencing money just as a part of our lives, something we want, something we have, something that we use, it becomes an incredibly integrated part of us, and we can all become wealth stewards, because wealth is simply the resources that we have. And with wealth stewards, we're talking a lot about money, and we all work with money. And a steward is someone who intentionally cultivates or works with those resources. So a wealth steward is someone who intentionally cultivates financial prosperity and utilizes that in harmony with the laws of nature for the manifestation of their purpose. And so whether you are here to steward the wealth for yourself as an individual, your family, for your projects, for your mission, for your music, for your art, for the earth, it doesn't matter. But when you go from being just a person who needs and uses money to being a wealth steward, you start to see money as the special treasure that can enable things for yourself, for others, enable so much beauty. And when you choose, yes, I am a steward of wealth, the universe sees a being that is, one, recognizing the truth, and two, taking a sacred responsibility to no longer externalize money as something evil, negative, all of these connotations, actually take the beauty and the resources of this life energy and use it for more beauty. So yes, carry on now, Nicolas. So we are here supporting the Beyond Being human community. So I won't speak too much about what we've done with our platform, but it does just speak to the three pillars that we are focused on. The first is giving people this remembrance through this consciousness education of how to align this wealth consciousness blueprint that is innately already within you. This isn't about learning any new wonderful tricks or meditations. It's simply about aligning with the quality that is already in you and just having the courage to live it. Another part is providing education and tutorials for how to move into this new financial economy of cryptocurrency and blockchain, because that's what it is. It's a new economy, it's a higher vibrational structure, and it's an infrastructure that is supporting probably the biggest redistribution of wealth that we've ever seen in this world. Obviously, community is a huge part of this, that we share this journey together into wealth stewardship and co-creation. And the third part, which is a big part of this, is providing real, tangible opportunities for people at every different level of investor and wealth stewardship to create passive income and long-term wealth through great innovative cryptocurrency and blockchain projects. You can keep going here. That's just a look at our platform. And as I shared, our first goal for people is for them to really become established in their own financial sovereignty as an individual. This is where it has to start, that we can feel unconditionally. This means passively. This means only through living in a way that feels good, that we can be in the receiving of our most fundamental needs. And beyond that, the needs that will allow us to create an enriching and nourishing life for ourselves. This is a big focus, that we should all be nourished. And a big part of that is, great food, a living environment that is harmonious, being in the location in the world that you want to be, and just being able to fully, safely, solidly provide for yourself. That's the financial sovereignty part. And then once you're established in that, you can really focus on your mission, your purpose, your creativity. And that is the earth stewardship, our gifts coming to life. And I will let Nicolas take this next transition as we speak about the transition from the old financial model into the new financial model. So take it away, brother.
Awesome. Thanks. Thanks, Ao. That was really beautiful, really always very heart touching, and a beautiful transmitter of energy and frequency. And I trust that you watching this, you're feeling what it is that we're wishing to communicate beyond the intellectual. But just to provide a bit more context, why is the Wealth Stewards movement so important at this time? We're in a time where the old financial system, which has been around for a long time, is crumbling away. And, it's a centralized model that is quite corrupt. My sense is I don't think people realize how corrupt it actually is. It's a model that is designed for you to not win in, because even people that own businesses, even people that have large investments in that, usually there's a cost. Like there's a cost to their health and well-being or their relationships. It's a model that will squeeze and take your life force energy in any way that it can. A lot of people don't realize that. Just as another really interesting example, when I was working at JP Morgan in May 2008, the global financial crisis hit. The US government decided to give bailouts to all the big banks. JP Morgan actually had made quite a few $1 billion in profit for that quarter, and they received, I think, $15 billion. And I remember sitting at my desk getting this email going, this is just bizarre. Like, why is this company getting money when we're making a profit? Like, this money should be going somewhere else. It doesn't belong here. And I knew that something was seriously not right. But what has been absolutely awesome is, the new financial economy seemed impossible even 10 years ago. But over the last sort of 6-7 years, as the cracks have been revealing itself, newness and like seeds that have dropped into the concrete are starting to blossom. And it's showing us that all systems and structures are created by us. We create them. They're not permanent. They're not eternal. And it was this recognition for me that as we raise our consciousness, then new ideas and new ways of living will naturally come into existence. And I think the blockchain decentralized openings, as well as the immense push of intentional community living, people wanting to come together again, is a reflection of the diversification, of coming back into groups of people where you can build true relationships with. This seems to be a natural trend. So let's have a look in a little bit more detail of the current financial system. So as I mentioned, it is abundantly corrupt. There are the people at the top that are kind of winning, I guess, but to the detriment of everyone else. The inflation takes away the value of your money. And if we even have a look at family households, you pretty much have to have both parents working pretty good jobs now to be, I guess, kind of winning in this game. A lot of stress. People are tired on the weekends. They don't have a lot of time and space for other things. And so, as I said, it's a model that takes your life force energy, doesn't give you the time for your spiritual growth and development. It doesn't give you time to be able to explore new hobbies and fun things on the planet, or to develop true, meaningful relationships. It really takes that all away. Again, since I think the Nixon government in 1971, remove the backing of gold to the dollar. Basically, the governments can print money at will. And just for your reference, since over the last 100 years, 40% of the total money supply of the US dollar was printed both in 2020 and 2021. So that just shows you the level of printing of money that is happening at this point in time, just to keep the wheels moving, but it's completely not sustainable. And something is going to have to give. And so again, it's the signs are really, really present at this time. So as we have a look at the crypto blockchain, the decentralized model means that it's not controlled by anyone, which is really, really powerful and really amazing. It's inviting the individual to step into personal responsibility, because in a sense, you become the manager of your own assets. No one can take them away from you. We have some friends in Slovakia that wanted to get their money out of their bank, and the bank just refused to do it. And I think a lot of people don't realize that your money in the bank isn't actually really yours, really. Like, the bank can actually block it, limit the amount of money you can take out of it. Look at Cyprus, when they had their crisis, they literally creamed off the top of all accounts that had over, I think, 100,000 euros, and they basically took that money to keep the bank solvent. I don't think people realize that they can do that, and there's nothing you can do about it. But in a decentralized model, when you have your assets on the blockchain, no one can take it away from you. No one can do anything. It's yours to keep. So there is financial sovereignty, and the blockchain has been designed in a way where there is security and trust. You know, it's not hackable. People can't actually take it from you, particularly if you have it in what we call a cold wallet. You know, yes, there are risks, and yes, that requires education, which is normal. But ultimately, there is trust in the blockchain. And then, of course, there's the speed and availability. I can send crypto to anyone on the planet, and it pretty much gets there straight away. Whereas if I wanted to send money from my bank, particularly to overseas, it's often very expensive, and it takes a lot of time, and there's quite a few different barriers to entry. So it's amazing. Like, I could, you know, send money anywhere in the world to anyone very, very effortlessly. And there's no third party that can stop me or tell me how I should do it or can't do it. It's completely in my own hands. And so we're moving in this time where there's three different groups of people. You know, there's the early adopters, and usually they are the innovators. You know, they are the people that can see beyond the current status quo, and they are, you know, they have a certain level of adventure, they have a certain level of, I guess, risk-taking as well, but they use their heart and their intelligence to sense into the opening of new visions and possibilities. And so, you know, this is usually only about 3% of the population. It's quite a small number of people, but they're the people that are willing to step into these new paradigms and to really explore them, because they don't have a fear of loss, or they don't have a fear of making a mistake. They're willing to use life in that way of, life is my teacher, and if things don't go the way that I expect them to go, that's a learning opportunity for me, and I can actually evolve and develop and integrate myself to become a more, you know, divine human being through the initiations that I engage in life. You've got the middle group, which is the uncertain. They're kind of neutral, they're curious, they're open. They don't want to miss out, but they're also fear of making a mistake. And so, you know, you'll get some people that will jump on board, or there'll be the people that if there is someone in their life that can very powerfully and clearly communicate to them the opportunity, there'll be a yes. And there's also people that will just want to wait and see, you know, is this actually something real? Is this something that's going to work for me or not? But often there's a mixture of fear and inspiration. And then the third group is the people that are just in resistance to change. They don't like change. They have an inherent distrust in life, or this sense that the future holds this doom and gloom scenario, and this sense that, you know, life is happening to them, and they just want to kind of keep life at bay. But of course, it goes against the natural laws of the universe, because change is the only constant that actually exists. And so being very comfortable with change is probably a prerequisite of being able to enjoy life, because what happens in 1 year from now or 2 years is going to be different, and we really don't fully know what's going to happen, and that's part of the mystery of life. Now, having a look at the growth of the cryptocurrencies, you know, over about a year. So at the end of 2020, the total market cap was at 0.5 trillion. And over that year, it had quite a bull run up to May, then it had a correction, and then it had another bull run. And by November 2021, by around the 20th of November, it actually peaked, and it was at about $2.9 trillion, which still in the grand scheme of things is actually quite small. It's not an enormous amount. It's obvious it has now had a bit of a correction. It has pulled back to probably around about 1.7 trillion at the moment. But it just shows you, though, that there has been a lot of adoption into the crypto space at this time. And so at the moment, we have about 300 million people, which is 3.9% of the total world's population. I know that the adoption rate is rapidly accelerating, which means that more and more people are recognizing that this is a useful potential for them to step into. and definitely to explore in some capacity. People like Io and myself, we have really stepped into the space because we really see the possibilities here. But even for people that are a little bit cautious, there's still people that are willing to play with it and just to get their heads and minds around what this opportunity is. There's actually about 17,000 different cryptocurrencies. Obviously, some of them, have amazing user case utility. Some don't. And so, not everything is great. You do have to use discernment. You do have to use research and looking at what's going on, as well as using your heart intelligence to get a sense of what feels, good for you and right for you, as well as, what actually has a real user case moving forward that's going to really add value to life and to society. There's actually about 30,000 companies now that accept cryptocurrencies. And also there are now crypto credit cards. I've actually got 2 myself, which means that you can actually have crypto on your card. You very easily can actually transfer it into the fiat currency of your choice and use the Visa MasterCard network and buy pretty much anything that you want, whether it's from coffees and beautiful meals in restaurants, or whether it's actually buying other things, whatever you want. So a lot of people, I think, were hesitant within the crypto blockchain space because they were like, well, how can I use this? Does it have a usability in life? And the answer is yes, it does. And it's only expanding, with PayPal now accepting crypto. More and more of these intermediary companies are actually utilizing it and welcoming it. Bitcoin has been the fastest growing asset of the decade. It was, very low back in 2010, like 0.0008 US dollars, and it peaked actually at 69,000 in November 2021. So there hasn't been anything that has appreciated on that level. BTC is the national currency of El Salvador, so some countries are exploring the introduction of cryptos as their asset. I think the general trend is we are moving into a digital currency. And then, the question is, how will that look? What would it look like? How will it be? There's lots of different theories out there. Okay, so that's the end of our sharing with you today. We do have an amazing opportunity, a flagship project, but we're not going to go into that now. We're going to go into a panel discussion to actually explore some of the ideas that Io and myself have shared, and Zen is going to be the master at being able to take us all into deeper levels of understanding, and let's really explore this. And again, let's be to thread like the figure of 8. How does what we've shared with you, the Wealth Stewards message, into the beyond being human and into a lot of the higher consciousness movements, and what's that relationship? I think that's really important to really make clear to people. So over to you, Zen.
Absolutely imperative, Nicolas. And what you are presenting here in the key aspects of it is that ability to have free agency and to do as we please. It's funny, we're talking, and even Io was talking about his many years of engagement and things. And, of course, that sounds like, the blink of an eye to me now. And yet there's this process and progress that we're all making toward being able to actualize our free agency and fit into, Ion expressed it as this emergence of his being. And, for me, I used to call it living in spirit. Now it's living in quantum entanglement with a unified field, because there's science that backs it up, right? So there's all of this information now that indicates that we are cosmic consciousness condensed into form, and we're seeking our perfected form, fit, and function in the world as a steward, and not for just ourselves. There's this transition from ego, which is what last couple of years have illustrated through the fear-based narrative and trying to keep us all separate. That's scared, that's fear, that's ego-based. Now we're moving on to the great we set and into we go instead, right? So, and we're all in this together. That's the cool thing. We just haven't all recognized that yet. And that's part of what the stewardship movement for you, for me, just stepping into the leadership role of a global peace movement called Live and Let Live, which we were talking about the aggressive nature of the government and financial institutions. Well, one of the precepts or principles of Live and Let Live as an organization is legal principles of non-aggression. We are against any aggression whatsoever, from the individual clear up to the government. Okay, so these are things that we're looking at moving through the population and actually helping to facilitate the change of laws globally so that we can accomplish peace. Then we have a moral principle that's, the let live side of things. As long as you're doing what you love and it doesn't hurt anybody or me, go for it, right? And that's how we all ought to be, because that's the true freedom in having free agency. And what you're doing with it is you're saying, okay, guys, we know this free agency exists, and here's a component that's critical. It's crucial in how we evolve together, because we still have to work together. And instead of fighting the old system, we're building something new to replace it, right? So I think we all get that. If we don't, I just reiterated it so that maybe it's a little clearer. And now, how do we, like for us and for Beyond Being Human, we're looking at this kind of engagement as helping to build organizations. And especially with the crypto, we're for Live and Let Live as a nonprofit here in the States. Fundraising on a global scale is a bit of a challenge, and I'm sure it is, compared with Beyond Being Human as they evolve and develop their LLC and nonprofit and what have you. So how does, let me ask this, does the global ability of fundraising, is that present in the Wealth Stewards program? First of all, I think that's something that we probably all like to know, right?
Eventually, the goal of our foundation is to be a bank for the earth. But the core, the roots of our community and movement is empowering the individual. And this is where we choose to begin our focus, helping each individual align with their own prosperity and utilize the projects that we've made available to actually actualize that. That is our first focus as an organization. Secondly, is the earth stewardship and donating into different existing communities. But that's a down the line part. We are really focused for individuals and starting our community partnerships as well.
Okay, great. Thanks for that clarification. That really kind of settles things in a bit more. So I'm sure Michael's going to be in here in a minute. What are the key elements that you're presenting or offering that brings those individuals into greater opportunity at present? Mm-hmm. I realize you're still you're in process and you're building it and you're growing as well, as we all are still. Even at my age, I'm a great grandfather, I'm still growing.
Yeah. So the first part is the education. Yes. Understanding our own nature of prosperity and opening up to this new path. Well, this heart calling. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then on an opportunity level, we hand select a number of projects that we personally invested in, we work with, provide both solutions for ongoing passive income that can be scalable, and also projects to invest in that will have, let's say, an upside in the next 3, 6, 9, 12 months. So you can buy into these projects, you can hold your asset, and then you can cash out at pretty good multiples as well. So these are the two sides we're focused on. Is the passive income is great so that you can start to build a passive income that covers your life expenses. Secondly, actual projects that really can help you build greater wealth.
Okay.
And I just want to add
Yes,
something
please
in there. There's also within the community, there's, for example, men's and women's circles. So we meet regularly. We are building relationships. I've had some amazing calls with people just to get to know people from all around the planet. So it is actually about building, like the spider's web. That's what a community is all about. And we're slowly, as we said, putting into the platform different education materials, both within the blockchain, crypto, decentralized finance sphere, because that is important. People need to understand how it works. What's the, it's also evolving very quickly as well. So, that's an important part. But then there is also, as Io mentioned before, there's the inner, the inner consciousness elements, So, we're looking at all of that. We've got an abundance program already in the platform as well. And then I've actually been creating different energetic transmissions that look at the different elements of prosperity, your ability to receive, for example, or
now let's focus on that for just a moment. The ability to receive. Now that's a sensation, right? Ultimately, because we can't think our way through a system built on vibration, we have to sense our way through it. I think we can all agree on that, right? So in that sensation, what does that shift from being, for lack of a better, constricted, to having that opening take place? And maybe both of you can address that as to how it felt for you, so that there can be possibly some corroboration or validation to others as to what their process is. Because in this emergent state, it's an experiment. And many of us are looking for corroboration and validation so we can go, oh, I'm not crazy, right? Right. And because it is so few, or has been, I mean, for me at 18 in 1975, there was nobody around. And my shrink said, my advice is just keep your mouth shut, because nobody's going to understand the wisdom you carry as an 18-year-old. Right. And of course, I was still a blabbermouth. I still am, as you can tell. However, I've developed a little better articulation with it. In that process, though, there's this consistency and framing of the visceral sensation and how that appears. So how did it appear for you?
Yeah, sure. So I'll share my experience. So first of all, the key element for me that was a massive breakthrough was the deciding and the knowing and the trusting that there is actually that relating with the universe. So and beyond an intellectual understanding, or exactly, right.
Unintended. You gave me the opportunity to plug beyond being human. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So for me, it's like when I'm orientating through my mind, through the 5 human senses, there is this innate separation that I feel. But when I'm in my heart and I open my heart and I feel the energy, I'm more of a kinesthetic feeler. I know that may be different for different people. So, when I open my heart and feel into the oneness of life, for me, when I'm receiving, there is kind of like this, it's almost like a gentle leaning back kind of feeling, like just an opening. And it's a very interesting experience, because I remember one of my mentors saying, what you're actually doing when you're opening, surrendering to receive, it's almost like you've thrown the fish nets out into the sea, and the surrendering and receiving is actually the pulling in at that quantum level. So it actually does the opposite.
The universe provides the path for us. It's up to us to walk it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're stepping into that again. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So that's my experience. What about you, Io?
When I had this download that I could be really provided for in new ways, this was the feeling that I focused on every morning in my meditation. I just went in and I used affirmations to just feel the experience of things coming to me. not me doing things, well, then I imagine just myself living in the way that feels like how I want to live. But I just closed my eyes and just felt everything coming to me, everything coming to me. And that elated my heart. And then I would just feel how I want to live, what I want to do, how I see myself being. And that feeling of receiving was the most important thing, because in that state, it's extremely real. And it's like we're training, rewiring our nervous system to relax and to have that experience of, wow, receiving feels really, really good. And if something feels really, really good, it's because we're feeling something really, really true.
Very good. And to back that up with science, we call that the gamma state of mind, right? So, and I say that because it's been proven through MRIs that it doesn't matter whether you imagine it or you actually do it, your brain responds the same. It lights up the same way, whether you're physically active or imagining or visualizing. So that opens the door to creating that connection with the universe. And like I said, the universe provides a path. It's up for us to step into it. And that is a sensation of flow with the process, as you're acknowledging. And where we put our attention, intention, and interaction is what manifests that reality for us. So by what you're doing, the focus that you guys have both had in bringing this together, it's a really intricately woven, it's like we're all threads in the tapestry, but it's still the tapestry, and we're figuring out how we can find our thread and be it, right? So you're taking what once was considered to be a very complex, and still is on the technology and physical level, the complex concept, and revealing it as to, okay, yeah, this actually fits into the flow of the natural design that's emerging in humanity globally now, especially coming out of the pandemic, and how we're all going from being afraid of each other to figuring out, oh, wait a minute, I need you. I want to be with you. And I don't care about all that other stuff. So how can we be together in a way that's beneficial for both of us? Doot, doot. You're good for more. Oh, that was an old Beneficial finance commercial from way back. So this kind of opportunity that you guys present is critical, and the flow of it, the way you're working with it, and the openness that you have to having holes poked in it, right? Because that's really what makes you solid and consistent in the long term in your development. So how are you handling those holes that you're finding, and how, first of all, intentionally are you plugging them, and also what kind of things have you noticed on a physical level that's been necessary to fill those gaps and look at, okay, these are some areas that we can improve in moving forward. What's come up for you guys in that realm?
Want to go for it, Nicolas?
Yeah, I'll go. I'll share one bit. So one of the things when we were running these presentations, and we obviously knew this, you're going to get people that really resonate with it, curious and open, and people that are skeptical. And, for me, it was really welcoming all of it, because ultimately it's like, great, if someone does actually have any information that opens up the scope of what is actually going on, like we want to embrace that, and we want to look at that and not be attached, to how something has to look. If we need to pivot, if we need to evolve and move and be flexible and adaptable, then we welcome that, because ultimately I think transparency and integrity and openness, and also just remembering the future are just a set of probabilities. What's working now may not work in 5 years' time, and new things might come in. So we, in this space of rapid evolution, it requires like a bamboo, like you've got to be flexible in the wind, but you're still grounded, so we, in some of the presentations, people, a lot of their own fears, people's own limitations of their own mind, what they believe to be possible, got projected into the space. But because we are aware of that, we didn't take it personally. It was okay. It was, it also
This is part of the natural process, and how many different perspectives. Diversity doesn't just cover gender and race, right? There's this diversity of thought that we have to. I call it the thoughtmosphere, and it's ripe with information. Now, how we choose to bring that information into our perception, like you're saying, you realize that stuff's going on. That's fine. It's information that you're getting that you can then choose what to do with. Yeah.
And so for me, what I've learned, like the takeaway from this, is that people will sometimes look at just tiny bits of information and then create an opinion about that, create a meaning making on that. But when you look at the full context of where the information actually sits, the true meaning is completely different. And so I've just been very, very, very mindful when you get some of these skeptical people, just to look at like what pieces have they actually got, and I can understand and see, like, yeah, I can see how you now come to that conclusion. But just letting you know, in what I've researched and looked at, there's also these other bits, which means that the whole then context changes. And so actually I'm choosing something else because of the data pool, and my own intuitive, awareness has created a different output. But also I completely respect what other people choose. I have no intention of trying to change their mind. I'm like, you need to find your point of, your decision, and be solid in that, because you need to be responsible for your life. And one of the things in Welsh is we're not taking responsibility for other people's lives. We're here to help guide. We show, we reveal, we invite people in, and then through their own taking personal responsibility, their own leadership, their own, inner alchemy, to then decide what's right for them. And we just want to attract the people that resonate.
Well, and from an organizational development standpoint, which is really what you're in, right?
Yeah.
There's this opportunity that you're presenting, and you're being in creating an environment of psychological safety and intellectual humility, which means that people can express whatever it is their concerns are, and you don't take it personally. You just let them express. And you also are able to hear what they're saying and be able to respond through understanding where they're at, and still being able to present the message that is then hopefully hearable from a different perspective, because you're not being, there's not this adversarial kind of conversation that's taking place, which has usually been the nature of humans, right? With the bias and the prejudice, you come into the room and you've got these things from the past that you bring into the room with you. And oftentimes you find, well, what you've done anywhere, you're doing everywhere. And so these kinds of things come up when you're addressing, especially the nature of how you see, feel, engage, emote with money, right? Because that's one of the most critical, stress-filled environments in people's lives today, right? Do you have anything on that?
Yes, I have different things on that.
Okay.
Until we're faced with a potentially new decision, we don't get to see our own inner processes. And what I realized on my life journey with money is that money is one of the greatest mirrors of my own belief structures. And so when we present someone, with an opportunity that shows them a way to create income that they've never seen before, in more prosperous ways than they've mostly probably ever seen before as well, there is a skepticism. There is what is the catch here? Where is the hole? Where is someone stealing from me here? Someone's going to lose out here. Surely only X, Y, and Z are going to make money, but not the everyday person. And sometimes people can't see that that's an inner process, and so they externalize it. And this is the thing where with money is we've externalized all of our own responsibility into a banking system and said, well, my money's there, I can get it and spend it when I want. That's absolute safety. So when people are looking for a new opportunity, they're wanting this absolute safety. And I would say, especially right now, exactly. And cryptocurrency and blockchain represent something new. So just that alone is not going to provide absolute safety as a newbie. And then the projects that we offer also, we one of our main projects, provides as much safety as any project that we've ever seen. That's why we work with it. And still people have this inner process. But that's what I call it. I call it an inner process as much as they might want to externalize it and find the loopholes and
you want
to
know how you're doing in the world,
everything with their mind.
Yeah,
and what I love about it is that people, they will never, with the projects you work with, get to 100% safety purely through their information. And this is where we say investing into cryptocurrency is one part intellectual understanding and one part intuitive feeling. And if you only try to rely on your mental understanding, you will run yourself in circles. And I've seen friends and stuff who have worked with crypto and crypto trading go crazy with it, and then I see someone, for example, like my partner, and she's very feminine woman, works purely with her intuition. Every financial investment she makes is 98% done intuitively. Men would call her the most ignorant investor ever. And yet she's a pure magnet of abundance. She is so prosperous, and so
there's some science
really
behind that too.
Sure.
Yeah, it has to do with the electronic nature of things, the energy, right? When you're clear, when you're still, and you're perceiving from that place, it's all energy. So you're going to know from a gut level what to do with it, where to go with it, what to pick, and how to take action. Now, that's something that traditionally we have never been taught to do. Now, those that have been in spiritual communities, that's gone through the rigors of yoga and the self-development and things of that nature, and the self-awareness, right? As you have expressed, if you wonder where you're at internally and you got a question, look around you. That'll tell you exactly where you're at inside. And then you can make adjustments from there, and you can step into that door of fear, if you will, with a little more understanding of just on the other side of its freedom. Right? And that's what's happened. Now, for me personally, we've been involved with crypto. I've experienced initially we were kind of hesitant. We finally got in and quadrupled our investment before last December hit, right? So we were able to capitalize on some things, but this is the nature of the market. It ebbs and flows. What is apparent, though, through this chart that you showed earlier is that there's an upward trend, period. And it's not stopping. So this is something that's really
not just an upward trend, a very, very significant one.
I tend to low-key things sometimes, right? But yeah, there's a substantial growth in this area of finance and money management that we really would be best to not just take a look at, but dive into to understand, to get educated more, to utilize the materials you guys have created in order to understand the market, its value, its inner workings, and how to sense your way through it for yourself.
And you know, this is the thing, is that we all now, just for a little bit, we need to go back to school a little bit, because none of us, that's what the banking system provided, a way that we didn't need to understand anything about money except what we do to earn it. Well,
because we felt
now
like we
there's
could trust it from what we've been told, right? Just like the
Exactly.
narratives we've gotten from our governments, we feel like we ought to be able to trust our leadership, that they're going to guide us effectively.
Exactly. And
Not.
crypto and blockchain, like, I don't know that much about it, but I know enough intuitively, and I know enough how to work with it, how to store my money, how to buy different cryptos, sell different cryptos, etc., to feel this autonomy of my movement and my sovereignty there. And that is the foundation we want everyone to have, to feel really comfortable in the crypto and blockchain space, not to become experts, because that's incredibly hard, not to become day traders. You don't need to do that, but just to feel comfortable putting your money into crypto, being able to get your money out of crypto. Just these basic ABCs is going to be one of the fundamental skills that everyone is going to start to develop in the next couple of years. And I often say to people in the presentations that don't have crypto, you know, because we also work a lot in Czech Republic and Slovakia, which is a little slower in the adoption of things than, say, the US, Australia, whatnot. And I say, look, some of you are hearing about crypto, you know, for the first time in a real way. If you don't have crypto now, I guarantee you, if we talk 12 months, 18 months from now, you're going to own some crypto, because this adoption is happening in a big way. Banks adopting it. The US just released, the Biden administration just released I don't know what you call it there, but not a bill, but a research document saying they're officially doing a big research project on crypto, so they don't fall behind the development of their own digital currencies, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's really coming in a significant way, and a lot of the people around us are no longer keeping their money in the normal banks. You know, my partner, for example, had a bank in Czech Republic. She opened it, you know, just 6 weeks ago. She took some money from there, put it in crypto. They sent her a letter saying, we don't want you to bank with us anymore. You've got 21 days to open up a new bank account somewhere and put it all somewhere else. So, for example, she's taking it all
There's
out
an
of
opportunity
the
to
whole
switch. Yeah.
banking system. You know, exactly. And there are banks now, for example, like Revolut, which are fully integrated with crypto as well. So they're these digital banks, which also have a beautiful bridge into crypto. So they're just understanding how much it's here, and how more and more systems are making it very, very easy and safe for us all to work with it.
And there are many platforms that do make that effective integration with banks currently. You can, you know, and it's not that difficult to set them up either, which a lot of folks that, you know, that unknown principle, let alone the uncertainty principle, but the unknown aspect of this often causes that constriction, and not necessarily because it's almost like they don't know how the questions to ask, right, to alleviate that sensation. So that puts the onus on you guys to understand your audience well enough to know what kind of questions need to be asked, I'll put it that way, in order to assuage their fear, and then be able to put those together with the efficacy that leads them into that being informed state now, rather than being, let's say, illiterate and not being able to read the page.
Mm-hmm.
Right now they're able to at least read the page. They may not understand all the words, however, they're able to read.
Mm-hmm.
So what other kinds of pitfalls have you seen that are either present for you, or what you can see that might be a concern in the near future?
Nicolas, do you want to go with this one?
Nothing's coming to me in this moment. I'm just sitting with it, just seeing if there's anything Any things I'm
Just
seeing?
doing something new for people, right? Because you're taking your money out of a safe place into something that you've never put your money in before. So, also when you send cryptocurrency to someone, so I send cryptocurrency to Nicolas. I remember the first time I sent about $30,000 or $40,000 from one crypto wallet to another, and not all you have, but you have a unique code. And that's all you require
Or QR.
to make a transfer, or a QR. That's all you require to make a transfer from $10 to $10 million. And the first time you do that, you're checking,
Well, it can't be that simple.
Times. Exactly. How is this safe? I'm sending $10,000 here, and then you wait about 5, 10, 15 minutes depending on it, and you're still checking everything. So it's just getting familiar with this, and that can be stressful the first time you do it. So we try to make it we create educational step-by-step tutorials for people, how to set up your wallet, how to add your money from your bank account into your crypto wallet, how to send it from the crypto wallet into the platform or project that you want to invest in, how to get it out from there, and then how to put it on, for example, a cryptocurrency MasterCard and spend with it, to really walk people through these steps so they don't feel on their own. And we're in the process of bringing on even a full-time technical support person, so people can contact anytime, when they're in this process. Because for people doing it the first time, it really can be, especially if you're, a single mom or a woman who's just never been in this, and you're going into the crypto space for the first time, having that personal support tutorials is really a really huge benefit for
Sure.
people that they're extremely grateful for.
And you're acknowledging the cold pricklies and responding with warm fuzzies.
Always.
On the visceral experience, right? Which education and information and understanding does set you into a different place within the visceral sensation that you mentioned earlier, right? Your perception is a bit more discerning even as you develop the understanding, and your ability to interact at that new level becomes easier. I mean, like you were saying, it's either the multi-digit, what is it, 24, 32 digits or something like that, or QR code. And when you see that happen for the first time, it's like, oh man, it's unbelievable at how easy and how quick it happens. So these are things that perhaps this is one of the things that the existing systems are looking at is, hey, we are archaic. They're not only last century, they're like 2 centuries ago. Now, even though they've got the technology in place and they do all the transfers, but they're still, in the backside of things, they're making money off our money and in the off our transactions that most people don't even realize is happening. Right? Your money is being used to fund other investments for the banks to make money while they're closed and those transactions aren't available. So, this is one of those kind of awakening things that when you find out, it's like, oh my gosh, why are they doing that? Well, they're a business. They're not a bank. They're not there to serve you. They're a business, and their business is to make money. Now, our business.
That's why they closed down my partner's account, because they don't want her taking her money out. They want her keeping her money there.
Sure. And now we're finding that even on that level, there's, for instance, what happened with Russia and the closing of the access to the cards for Russian expats, right, that have pensions that deserve that money, but because there's this arbitrary choice from the false narrative that's being presented, oh my God, they're enemies, we need to, cut ties. Well, my wife's from St. Petersburg. They're not enemies, right? They're people just like you and I. The enemies are the ones that are causing the challenge, right? And they're pointing fingers the other direction and expecting us to believe it. So now with this previously issued concern about crypto, that's shifting too, because now those kinds of activities, those aggressive actions by institutions that have been in place are essentially being thwarted, or can be, or will be, as this development continues, the trend, if you will. And it's a huge trend that, the 300 million, or however, it could be even 350, possibly 400 million by now, because your slide's a little outdated, right, Nicolas? So can you speak to that aspect of how your understanding has been able to wrap your head around and enter with your being into this shift of awareness and consciousness that includes the financial perspective of one's life?
Yeah, I remember in 2017 when Bitcoin and crypto just kept coming at me, and the first few times I really didn't get it, and I just thought, oh, this doesn't really make any sense to me. But it just kept coming back into my life. People would keep telling me about it, and I remember I had a good 3 to 4 hour conversation with a good friend of mine who, really got it, and he was able to transmit it. And at the end of that 3 to 4 hour conversation, something clicked in me. So I realized that it is also a consciousness shift, because I notice now, like when I'm engaging within the crypto space, like I just have this inherent knowing that I know how to do it. Even if there are things that I haven't done before, it just makes sense to me. And
well, you have the skill set to back it up too, from your engagement in the financial industry. Which is
there is also that. There is also that.
And also just a small detail.
and also project management. So, but those were just, I guess, they're innate abilities within my world, in being able to work things out. I remember it's the same like when you move from like a PC to an Apple. In the beginning, it feels a little bit strange, and then it just clicks in. It's the same kind of feeling. It's almost like you merge into the intelligence of whatever it is. So that's kind of what happened for me. It didn't land straight away, and what I've realized, and this is why I was very enthusiastic to be a part of this Wealth Stewards movement, is the realization that in community you have people that also are looking up, other people want to see you do well too. And so you've got people you can check in with, like, hey, I'm not quite sure about this. Would you mind helping? Or, what does that mean? Or how do I do this? And when I started, I didn't have any of that. And so I obviously made mistakes, which is normal when you're learning. But one of the biggest recommendations, that I share with people now is that if you want to enter into these spaces, you got to join a group. You've got to join, people that are also engaging in the space. And it's not like you need to spend a lot of time, but people that you can trust and you have a connection with that, have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years experience that, you can check in with. And then the learning process accelerates really quickly. And I mean, I'm connected to quite a few different groups that I can tune in. There's even remote viewing groups, crypto remote viewing that I'm connected with. So, it's great because this,
psychospiritual technologies are part of it as well, right?
Yeah, definitely. But, the old financial model doesn't include any of that, where the great thing with this, the blockchain decentralized finance is that everything is welcome. It's very innovative. A lot of the people, that are really creating incredible ecosystems, they realize, wow, that there is no limit. And we are not limited by the limitations and constructs of another system, which people often are. One of the flagship projects that we're connected with, the main founder, one of the main reasons why he entered into this space was he realized that the banking system deliberately shuts down great ideas, good things, innovative ideas, if it doesn't work for them, if it doesn't fit in with their paradigms, like, sorry, you're not going to get the money, and and you're kind of
Well, that's usually because of a poor business plan and no collateral, right? Great
that as
idea,
well.
but you don't have anything substantial that they could take if you
Yeah.
default.
Yeah, there's that as well. But anyway, in his case, he had amazing ideas, and a lot of these institutions just, pushed him away. So that was the inspiration that then allowed him to create, a whole blockchain ecosystem. So it's just fascinating, that this new landscape, for those that are willing to go in on that journey, the sky really is the limit, and there isn't any kind of person that can tell you what you can or can't do. So it's amazing. It's really inspirational.
And it seems to, it really is, I have to agree. And also seems to fit into this emergence of regenerative culture and regenerative communities, and this shift in the workplace, right? There has been a huge shift from being on site to being remote. Well, now people are realizing, oh, I can work remote, which means I can live anywhere I want to. And crypto also gives that opportunity to have that growth and be able to manage your life with, and perhaps lives of others, with more efficacy over time, right? Because there's this new capacity that we have for living and working, whether it's in an incubator and co-working space, or whether it's in community, or whether it's by yourself and loosely connected to a virtual community, right? There's all these things that are happening parallel to this process. And that to me is what is really exciting, because there's all of these layers that are bridging because of the efforts that are being made to find ways to build community, to collaborate, to feel the connectedness, to step into the being, and to execute your life's passion and purpose, right? And I don't mean stand at the firing squad. I mean,
and also, Zed, it's the interconnection between other communities. Like, how can the excellence of this community support other communities that maybe have a bit of a deficiency in another area, and instead of each community trying to do it all on their own, it's also the spider webbing out, and this was an inspiration for me with the Well Stewards piece, which would really support communities that are really great at doing what they do to then get the support within the crypto blockchain, which may not be their thing, but at least be able to plug into that to then amplify what they're doing. It's like an amplifier.
right.
And
in business terms, they call that collaborative alliances, right? And you've created a unique collaborative alliance with Hyperverse, right? That's your main platform, but you've got the educational, the opportunity, the community building aspect of it, and you're utilizing what they have created to do so. Now, I understand that information is available in further detail on your website and through other presentations that people can inquire and engage you regarding, correct?
Yes. So
you're nodding, but we can't hear that. No marbles.
Yes. Yeah. So that's exactly right. So, the invitation is that for people that would like to explore this more, particularly the nuts and bolts, so how does this look like? What is the opportunities? And to really look into the details, we've got a presentation where we take people through in a lot of detail the presentations and looking at the flagship projects, but also we have other opportunities as well, which Io mentioned. But the flagship project is a very easy one to start with. It doesn't require a lot of time. It's simple. It helps people on all different levels, and so it's just an easy entry point. And then depending on the person's level of ability and where they're at in their education, we can make suggestions, other suggestions based on where they're at.
So that meets Baby Step Bob's needs.
That's right.
Right. Okay. Awesome.
That's right.
I want to thank you both. I think we've fairly well covered the topic and gone in depth and looked at it from both the inner and outer perspectives. I really appreciate your time and the effort that you put into this. And I'm honored to be able to help explore and express the opportunity. And so,
yeah, thanks, Zen. It's been wonderful. You're such a great host and bring a lot of vitality and excitement and curiosity into your discussions. And I really enjoyed meeting you.
I just like having fun, right?
Yeah, I really feel that. I really feel that. So thank you, because it's always a pleasure. And obviously thanking everyone that's joining us today at this time. And, on behalf of IO and myself, we look forward to connecting with you all soon.
Very good. And I look forward to that continuation. And with that, I'm going to pass the baton back over to our ultimate host, Michael.
Hello again. I just wanted to go through a few things in terms of how Beyond Being Human is hoping to involve wealth stewards. Excuse me, frog in the throat. To begin with, let me give you some contact details. You can all see that.
Got it?
Good. Okay. And yeah, you can email me at any time, michael@beyondbeinghuman.org. And we're going to have more information coming out on our website as well as the Wealth Stewards website. And one of the things that I wanted to point you to is actually go back. Yep. So unusually for a documentary, which is essentially that's what the overall project of Beyond Being Human is. It's both a transmedia, as in social media publishing of interviews and conversations and discussion panels such as this. But we're also wanting to have a humanitarian outreach and create more of an impact in the community. So I've created this page, and it's very early days. And this actually started with the Beyond Christmas event in December, where I was featuring these charities. And this is now an ongoing campaign. And I would invite people to have a look at these websites and donate if you feel it resonates. But one of the things that I feel can happen through our involvement in Wealth Stewards is that if we get an abundance, which I'm hoping we can, and other people also feel altruistic and would like to support, there's a lot of need in the world now. And the charities that I just put up focus on the homeless, but there's now this massive refugee thing that's going on, and all sorts of organizations really need the support. So we'll be looking to tithe a bit for all of that as well. And I'm looking to donate maybe a collective percentage to all of the charities that we're going to do. And this is all reliant on membership, of course, in Beyond Being Human. And let me share again, one sec. So to begin with, I've been supporting Tree Sisters in a previous project, and I'm carrying it over into this project as well. And that's an environmental campaign to plant trees. Can you actually see that? Tree Sisters?
Nope, we don't have it.
Okay.
Well, these are all things that are on the Beyond Being Human website, correct?
Yeah, but I just wanted to go through it in brief to put it on the video, and so that's going to be shared. And So, yeah, I mean, I'll stop share there. I think that's probably the main kind of thing. It's like, it's all a win-win. And what I absolutely love about wealth stewards and the various other opportunities that I'm sure are going to arise as well, is the humanitarian aspect. And that's not so prevalent, especially with banks, though they do sponsor various different things. But, you know, it's like, it feels a bit like they're just doing it for show.
Yeah,
And,
well, you know, one of our things with Live and Let Live is just the opportunity to be a better human, right? Be your best self. That's what we promote. And so by doing so, all of the rest of those things, you know, as Io was talking about, you know, stepping into that, and the things appear when they need to, as you are progressing in your path. So this is part of that opportunity that you have in engaging, and I'll just use the term New World Order, because it is new. This is an emergent, natural, it's not even mutation, it's a natural evolution of our biospiritual nature that's interconnected already with everything, and now we're becoming aware of it. And the tools, the brain chemistry, the genes, the things that are built in, because we've been able to raise our vibration to a certain extent, now all of these new interactive qualities with not just the physical world, right? We're interacting, especially with beyond being human, right? We're dealing with multiple dimensions and multiple worlds. So all of this is opening up to us because of this process. And wealth stewards, crypto is part of that. It's an inextricable part of that because of the nature of the electronic world. Right? Banks aren't the electronic, that deals with the hard substances, right? Whether it's gold, silver, coin, paper money, you know, and the whole idea of free issuance, which means money is whatever we think it's worth. And so, like they were saying, you know, there's been more money printed in 2020 and 2021 than pretty much ever before. So that ought to say something and give cause for pause and help us to consider, okay, where are we really going and how can I be the best human I can be, and step into that and help others do the same. Right.
sure, yeah. And one quick other screen. So we're going to be adding to the organizations list, but also we're just having very early discussions about creating a support group. And I'm feeling that Wealth Stewards is like the financial support group, and the education that's available on the platform really is a supportive kind of thing. So,
and the way they present it from a consciousness standpoint is evidence of that.
Sure. So I guess we should wrap up and say goodnight. But
first, I would encourage,
if you've got some last words, Nicolas and Io and Zen. And then
I was gonna bring them in first. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
All right. Thanks, Michael, for inviting us, and thanks, Zen. Really enjoyed just being with you all. And I think that the final thing I want to share is that it's a frequency transmission. You know, it's like, yes, in the material plane, yes, there are tangible, grounded things that we do, but it's beyond that. And the Wealth Stewards community, you know, our focus is on the transmission. It's on the energetics to support, you know, the community to create a win-win-win, you know, individual, community, and Mother Earth, and, you know, and to spiral together in in support and service. And ultimately, I think for me, I was reflecting on this last night, the greatest joy I feel that I would have is to journey with a wonderful bunch of souls and to see everyone growing, flourishing, and really contributing what it is that they're here to offer and contribute. I think for me, that would be the most fulfilling and most beautiful experience. So I feel that Well Stewards in my life certainly is a contributing element to that, within the New Earth paradigm. I know that for me, it's more than that. It's ultimately, as you said, Zan, creating the New Earth and participating in that. That's the ultimate direction.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, for me, just to finish is, there's no greater joy than for us to prosper and create together. And first, we need to allow and step into our own abundance. And right now, whoever you are hearing this, this is coming to you now for a reason. And it's up to you to take that as a sign that life is opening a door for you, right? Whenever Well Stewards enters a field, the universe is coming and opening a door saying, hey, this is a time where you can really step into a greater abundance. Yeah. So if you've heard what we've shared today and you feel that calling, I think Michael provided a link where you can potentially register to hear more about some of our actual crypto projects and how you can get going with that. And let this be a calling for you to go forward, right? When doors come to you, they are open doors, and all we get to do is step through them. And that's when the miracles and synchronicities reveal themselves. So that is what I have to close with, from my heart to yours. Always much love and many blessings on your journey.
And on the other side of that door is a great dance for us all to engage. Yeah, in whatever fashion we can. I want to specifically thank Alan Steinfeld in making New Realities channel available for this. Really appreciate you, Alan. And Michael, I thank you. And I would also like to invite folks to look into One World in a New World. I interview people from all walks of life about their own spiritual journeys, transformations, and how they've found the practical and pragmatic applications of that knowledge in the world. I think you'll find it a great series. Michael's upcoming documentary is just going to be phenomenal. It's going to open a lot of new pathways for being beyond human. And with that, namaste and in la catch. Michael, you want to close it out?
Well, thank you all again. And just to mention, to our next discussion panel will be about the angelic realm, which will be available through contacting us on Beyond Being Human website. You can subscribe to the newsletter there, and there'll be information as you go on. And I'm feeling like starting to pull back from Facebook. There's now a number of other platforms becoming available, like Unified. And also Adam Apollo is rolling out his core.network. It's in sort of early testing beta mode, and it's phenomenal. It's going to be a total game changer. But I think we have to start not supporting those that aren't supporting us in the way that possibly it would be good to do. Let's put it that way.
Great ideas, and hopefully, folks will explore things and will evolve in the process.
Yep. So thank you all again, and so let's stop recording. Everyone who's recording, and I'm going off now. And I'm going to end the meeting. Thank you all.
All right, Nicolas, hang on a second. Could you stick around for a minute, Nicolas?
Let's go to my room. I'll put the link in chat for a sec. One sec.
Okay.
You've all got it anyway, but IO's gone already.
Yeah.
But Nicolas, you can pass him the link. And so I'm going to end this call now. Thank you.
All right. So thank